God that you have received is not complete. You are not lacking in having certain parts of God. But the problem that you are having is the awakening of the parts of God in you that are responsible of knowledge. You have all of God, but not all of his parts are active. The parts of God responsible for knowing God in you, the parts of God in you that are responsible for knowledge are not active.
So it's not all of God that is responsible for knowledge.
It's all of God that is responsible for knowledge, but that knowledge is in categories.
All right.
Because, like, remember, God is, when you look at his body, there are things that you can do. Let's say you are writing a letter.
Yes.
Probably what you might need is your vision. You need your hands, you need a piece of paper, you need your brain. You can write a letter.
Yes.
And under the table, you have no legs. Probably due to an accident, you have lost your legs.
Yeah.
And you can write whatever you write on a piece of paper, and you send a letter, and the recipient, the reader of the letter, might not even know parts of your body that were missing when you wrote the letter.
Yes.
Because what you have put on that piece of paper has nothing to do with your legs.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So there are certain parts of your body that you can't do without. Okay? So a person reading the letter might not even know that somebody who wrote this letter, the legs are missing. Because there is nothing of the leg that is needed on what was written.
Yes.
Yet the leg knows. But everything that the leg knows has nothing to do with what I'm trying to do here.
I understand.
Yet the leg knows, but its knowledge has nothing to do with what I'm doing on top of the table. Okay? So every part of God knows.
Yes. Okay.
But what is known by that part might not be necessarily important to you every time.
All right.
Okay?
Yes. Right.
It can be that, like I'm saying, how come he doesn't know God and yet he has all of God? And with all of God, you're supposed to know God. You know God by God.
Yes.
So what is this? What are we saying? We are saying that the parts of God that are responsible for knowledge of God are non-active. So by trying to educate you on the things of God, it's not even your brain that we try to activate. It is the parts of God responsible of knowing God. We don't give you those parts. Those parts are simply supposed to be activated. They become active. And when those parts become active, God appears, he is known, he is identified by those parts of God that you are, that you have received. So, when you try and get to know God, and suddenly you begin to know certain things about God, those certain things about God are known by certain parts of his own body. Okay. I want you to follow this one.
Yes, sir.
So suddenly you are knowing. You just find yourself knowing things about God. Those things that you are now knowing about God is simply God knowing himself. So how come I wasn't knowing before, yet I had God in his totality? It means it's a part of God that has just been activated. a part can be there and not be participating. Like I was writing a letter, but my leg were not contributing anything. Yet I had all of my parts. So God in his totality is in you, in his fullness, he is in you. But not every part of his body is active. So when we educate you, we are resuscitating, we are bringing to life parts of God that you have that were dormant.
Thank you.
So they are activated. The place that I can only find in the Bible that can describe that for me very well, we are not going there, is where Paul says to Timothy, stir up the gift in you. The stirring up of the gift is the awakening of what he had. So when the gift is stirred up, if he's not told properly what it means to stir up the gift, he's going to think he has eventually received a gift.
Yes, yes.
Yet it is simply an awakening of a part of God that was dormant in him. So it means that Timothy had an ability to prophesy, but wasn't prophesying. But the ability was dormant. The part responsible of sight and spiritual sensitivity was there. All that was needed was the stirring up, waking it up, quickening it up so that it becomes active. And you think, I've just received a gift. Yet it's a part of God in you that was not active. So when we say that you lack knowledge of God, yet your knowledge of God is contained in the parts of God in you. We are not saying you lack in terms of God. You have all of him, but not all of him is active. So through education, we are waking up parts of God in you. So education is what provokes, what brings those parts to life. So that you begin to know God, and the God that you begin to know is known by the parts that we've just awakened through knowledge.
Thank you, Father.
Father, is this also tying into what you helped us to understand concerning the gifts of God, where the gift is not just away from God, but it is an attribute of God that is God. So the parts of God that are then activated are not just parts in the sense that they are away from him, but they are parts in the sense that those parts are actually him.
Yes.
I'm
True.
trying to piece together from your introduction concerning parts of the body that also contain a brain that communicate, and what you're giving us now concerning a full body. You're writing a letter, you have legs under the desk, and yet they're not participating in the action of writing the letter. And so we can have God in full presence within me, and yet I fail to understand certain components of God that are not just components, but they are God. So parts of those elements or body parts that are of God, they contain knowledge that is God, that I need. And so by us getting education concerning those several parts, we are not just learning about a part of a body that God has, God, part of his body, but we're learning about him.
Yes, it's him.
So it's the sum total of those parts together that constitutes the full comprehension.
And when you talk of the sum total, it's put in, we can find all these things in the Bible. But you know, our problem is when we start going there, we start to see something that we have never seen before. And this program will end in a different direction. But all that we can find scriptures to support what we're teaching here. The sum total idea that you're bringing in of the body, of the parts,
Yes.
he said it, but it is so subtle. You might not see where Jesus really said, where he really confirmed. I've told you before about Jesus sitting on a table,
Yes.
and he breaks the bread, which is his body, and then he gives to each disciple a part of his body which was broken. Right?
Yes.
Right. So it's a broken body, and each disciple gets a piece of a body that is broken. That was during the communion. And then he encourages them to come together. The gathering of the saints becomes the unity
Of the body.
of the body. And then he gives it a name. You might think I'm just playing with words. When he says, do this in remembrance of me. Do you know what he's saying? There is R-E first and member. As much as he's not just addressing the mind in terms of remembering, but remember,
Father, this is too much.
reunite the members.
1 Corinthians 11.
We said we don't want to read that. So when you are doing it in as much as you are remembering me, but you are remembering the body. Remember, because these are members of the body that requires a gathering. So our coming together becomes the remembering of the body of Christ. So this is what makes you important in my life, and what makes you important because members of the body of Christ in you that are active are members that come to activate members of like nature in me. Hence I need you. Whether Timothy had hands laid on him and then he received a gift, the hand that really was laid on Timothy, it's not a physical hand. It is the member of the body part of God that was laid on Timothy. And the like member in Timothy of God got activated.
It's tying in so beautifully together.
It's seamless.
You know, Father, I suppose I was trying to marry that, and you've made it so clear, because in my brain, I was saying, if I have a hand on the table and it's God's hand, am I saying I'm looking at God? If I have his leg and
or is God looking at himself? Because if your hand is of God, it means your eyes are
of God. You finished me.
Yeah.
You see, you had actually isolated your eyes, separated them from God. And now it's as if you are looking at the hands of God, but who is looking at the hands of God? If your hands are of God, your eyes are of who? They are also of God. So God knows himself by himself. But this is the issue now. When we get to the things that are known by certain parts of our bodies, your kidneys, the technology within the kidney to process, to clean up the waters of the body, the process of purification that occurs in the kidneys requires intelligence. You can see that the kidney is intelligent. The work happening in that industry requires intelligence. So there must be a certain place somewhere within the kidney that stores knowledge. And that part is the brain of the kidney. Same applies with the brain. Okay, we're talking about the composition of the brain. We have brain cells, right? The brain cells themselves, which are the cells of the brain, must also have the brains of their own. Just like with the body cells, right? Body cells are intelligent.
Yes.
For them to get to a situation, to migrate to a place that has been infected, and to identify a pathogen, to identify a virus, there must be a level of intelligence, and they attach themselves to the virus and they fight the virus.
Yes.
And these cells, when they get in contact with each other, they have a way of knowing.
That this is not a virus.
Yes, that requires intelligence.
This is a friend, not a foe.
Yes? And for that intelligence to exist within the cell, there must be the brain of the cell. In as much as the cell is the cell of the brain cell, the cell itself must have its own independent brain. So that when the brain, the overall, the controlling board, sends information, it is received by the part of the kidney that thinks.
Yes, Father.
You're following?
Yes, following.
I cannot teach you anything that I know unless I'm aware of the part of you that is capable of knowing.
All right. Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
You must have your own independent brain. That is what encourages me to educate you. You have a part that can be educated, which is the brain.
Yes, Father.
So these cells, they seem to know each other even by name. There is no conflict. There's no fight over cells. Unless that memory, that brain is tampered with and your cells are mentally challenged. They have no way of regulating their activities, even their growth, and that becomes cancerous. That becomes cancer. It is the madness of the cells. They've lost their mind.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Because every part of your body is thinking. But it is being given what to think by the brain.
All right. Okay. Yes.
And the part of that part that receives knowledge from the brain is the brain.
The brain of the cell.
The brain of the cell and the brain of the hands.
All right. So
Every part of your body. Okay. What are we saying? I'm saying for the brain to be able to control the leg, there must be something of the leg in the brain, and there must be something of the brain in the leg.
Yes.
So that there's a connection.
Yes.
I'll say this again. You put 7 different televisions before you, and you have one remote control. You switch it on, only one television will respond. So there must be something of the television in the remote control, and something of the remote control in the television. So that when you press a button here, something of that nature in the television responds. So I bought 2 toys for my boys, and they were enjoying skidding those toys in a very big room. The toys were the same. Each of my son had a remote control, yet there was no interference. And I asked him, how come that your toy is not responding to his remote control, and his toy is not responding to your remote control? And my boy said, no, they are synchronized. They have different chords.
Wow.
Then I walked away with an understanding that there is something of that car in the remote. There is something of that remote control in the car. Unless there are those similarities, you can't get the remote control to control the vehicle. You can't get the remote control to control the television. There must be something of like nature. So you cannot pull your leg backwards by the brain unless there is something of the leg in the brain, and unless there is something of the brain in the leg. I want people to follow this.
We're following.
So clear.
So
Help us, Father, we are following.
And remember, I told you that this is the reason why after having amputated, your leg is gone.
Yeah.
You are still having problems with the leg that is gone.
Yes.
And people are sick.
Yes.
Okay? They feel like they would want to scratch their legs, but the legs are not even there.
Yes.
Why? Because there is something of the leg in the brain. So the legs in the brain are still intact. But how come you're feeling pain in a place that you no longer have? That is, if you no longer have the legs.